Introduction to reaction rates. This is our final unit. Reaction rates. The reaction rate is simply how fast reactants in a reaction turn into products. It is measured by the change in concentration of reactants over time. Remember, reactants are on the left side of the chemical reaction arrow, and products are on the right side of the arrow. The faster a rate is, the more the concentration will change in a given time period. According to the collision theory, this is a model that chemical reactions are based on. It states that atoms must collide or touch one another to react and has other important rules that must be followed for a reaction to happen. There are 3 parts of the collision theory. The collision theory is made up of 3 statements that must be true in order for a reaction to occur. Atoms must collide in order to react. This just means they have to touch one another. Atoms must collide with enough energy to react. This is referred to as activation energy. Finally, atoms must collide in the correct orientation to react. They have to line up properly. 4 factors. Temperature. Temperature is a measurement of how much the molecules are moving in a system. More movement means higher temperature. This may influence collision in 2 ways. Since molecules are moving more, they are also more likely to collide one with another. Since there is more energy, it is easier to collide with enough energy, the activation energy. An increase in temperature will lead to a higher rate in most cases. A decrease in temperature will have the opposite effect. Four factors. Concentration. Concentration is the amount of reactant in a reaction. By using more of a reactant, we increase the concentration. This influences collisions in 2 ways. Since there just is more of the reactants, it is easier for the atoms to collide. Since there are more reactants, it's easier for atoms to collide with the correct orientation, to line up properly. An increase in concentration will usually lead to a raised reaction rate. A decrease will slow the rate down. 4 factors. Surface area. Surface area is the amount of the reactants that are able to touch each other. Surface area increases when something is broken up into smaller pieces, because now parts of the inside can contact the other reactant. This influences collision in 2 ways. Since more of the reactants are in contact, it is easier for collisions in general to happen. Since more collisions are happening, it is easier for the atoms to line up properly when they collide. An increase in surface area will always lead to an increase in rate. Using larger chunks but the same amount of reactant, decreasing the surface area will always lower the reaction rate. 4 factors. Catalysts. A catalyst is a chemical that lowers the activation energy for a reaction but does not get used up. This means that it makes it heavier to have successful collisions by lowering the amount of energy needed to fulfill the enough energy requirement.